Itumeleng Sekhu was 11 months old when a raging fire from a candle would change her life forever. She spent 3 months in a coma and underwent about 105 operations by the time she turned 15. Sekhu recently published her autobiography titled, "What Do You See?", which details her story of hope and resilience.
Hello, Itumeleng Sekhu, and I am 33 years old. I got burned from a candle when I was 11 months old.
Well, she joins us now live tonight to be in conversation with us. Itumeleng, today, of course, being Youth Day, is one of those days where often we reflect on the challenges of young people, the struggles that young people are facing, but we also celebrate the power of young people. And yours is certainly a story that I think many of us can draw inspiration from. Tell me a little bit about yourself and being able to go through everything you've been through in your life, to share that with the rest of the world through your autobiography.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. This is such a privilege. So I got burned from a candle when I was 11 months old. I lost my right hand. I lost 4 fingers, my left. My face was scarred, as well as the right side of my hand. And I went through so much in terms of a low self-esteem, bullying, being hurt by society, but also just the mere fact that the word beauty was defined by media, by society, by the world, that I always thought to myself that I will never mount up to that word called beauty. And that the struggle for me then started when I then started to try to commit suicide 3 times. My very first suicide attempt, I was in grade 5. My second one, I was 15. And my last suicide attempt, I was in grade 11. And I drank 300 pills. So the struggle was finding myself. The struggle was self-esteem. The struggle was depression. The struggle was struggling to love myself. But more than that, not even knowing who I was, because apart from school, I really thought that I was a nobody.
Many of the issues that you have spoken about, Itumeleng, in terms of your own personal struggles, I believe are issues that many young people can identify with, and that your struggle will resonate with many others out there. The big question, of course, becomes, how did you manage to overcome those struggles? What got you through it?
Well, for me personally, I became very spiritually grounded, and I became a Christian in 2007. And I think for me, my spiritual journey and my spiritual path is what helped me find myself, because then I then started identifying myself, like a bigger person that I was, and that's where I found my identity. That's where the biggest thing that happened for me during that spiritual journey, I found my purpose. And that's when I realized that my purpose was actually to bring hope and healing. And that is what changed my perspective, about life, because that is what made me realize that I am needed. The world needs me. And like you mentioned, that so many young people, they are currently going through what I went through. And that is because every single person has got scars within, right? Like Mutomong has got a story, and those stories create scars. My scars, they are external, but every single person has a scar. And people tend to not know how to face those scars, how to handle them. And that's where my story really has healed so many.
Part of what you're talking about here also centers on mental health, and we know that, and mental wellness, we know that it's not something that has been taken very seriously. What did you do in order to get support, whether it was from people around you, whether it was from organizations, when it was clear that there were so many issues that society was leaving you with, that you were struggling to grapple with?
Yeah. For me personally, I was very privileged in a sense that my mom took me to a school that has psychologists, it had therapists, and so forth. But also my mom was such a huge support structure in my life. Like, I have one of the most beautiful mothers in the world. Like, my mom is so beautiful. And she would say daily, "You are beautiful. You are so nice, you are such a beautiful, human being." And as much as I thought, at the time, that what my mom, my psychologist, my therapist, they are saying really didn't matter, because my mind was that they are not going through what I'm going through. So they wouldn't really know my struggles, my pain, and so forth. So my mom, my therapist, my psychologist, as well as my spirituality, I can simply say that I am who I am today because of my spirituality, but I still had a very huge support structure around me. Yeah.
Let me talk about your university experience. You spoke about being bullied as a younger child in high school, and 15, your first suicide attempt. What was it like thinking about going to university and the kind of pressures that you would face there, especially because you're spending much more time out of what is a comfortable environment to you?
Look, varsity, by the time I went to varsity, I had already found my spiritual grounding. However, I must tell you, my very first day for UJ, I struggled, simply because my school, we were about like 30 in one classroom. Then I went to varsity, and there was 5,000. And they were all normal, so-called normal. So they all stared at me like on some, no, wait, what? She doesn't have a hand. She doesn't have fingers. Like, how is she writing? How is she doing this? And that made me so self-aware of my situation yet again. However, when I failed one of my biggest majors that year, I then said to myself that, what, I am going to go to class no matter what, because I'm actually here for a degree, right? So I had to then push myself simply, number one, to achieve my purpose, but number two, to just prove to myself and to the world that actually, what, I am done with the world trying to tell me how to live my life. And that moment, simply said, it literally just changed my life, because now I don't take anything from the world now.
You are an author, you are a motivational speaker. What is it that you believe other young people draw from you and draw from your story?
I think firstly they draw the fact that I'm talking something that I've lived, and secondly I'm showing them the strength that they have, because just like people have scars, every single person has got the very same strength, the very same resilience, the very same power, you know, because power starts within you, right? And when the people hear my story, they then resonate with the story, and then they then start finding their strength, their power, their might, their resilience. You know what I mean? And with my story, in a nutshell, my message would then be, if this girl can live a successful life, you know, life with purpose, you know, life with zealousness, then what is it that will be stopping you from fulfilling your life perfectly, greatly, and just, you know, achieve?
Well, you certainly exemplify the power of youth, Sekhu. Let me tell you that much. Itumeleng Sekhu, she is an author and motivational speaker. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today and just for sharing what is a snippet of your life and a snippet of your story. And like I said, she is the author. Her autobiography is titled, What Do You See? Really appreciate your time tonight, Itumeleng.